Welcome back. Are you a fan of pesto, but maybe you're a little tired of being limited to just basil? Well, we're expanding your pesto horizons in today's Daily Dish. Claire Tansey is sharing an any herb pesto recipe with us today. So here's what you're going to need: some fresh herbs, nuts, canola oil, lemon juice, garlic, and salt. Oh, sounds super easy. Okay, Claire, I love that you're leveling up our pesto game by switching up the herbs.
We all know about basil pesto. The classic would be basil with pine nuts, bit of garlic, and extra virgin olive oil and parmesan. And that's great, and I've got basil in the garden this year, so I could certainly make a beautiful pesto with basil. But you know, I only really get basil at this time of year, and I actually want pesto all the time, right? So I'm gonna make this one with parsley. But I will tell you, you can make this with any herb. Cilantro is great. Even arugula is really delicious in a pesto.
Okay, I like that. We have some options here, so you can go pesto crazy whenever you want. Now, just to talk about the nuts that you're going to use with the different herbs, what do you suggest are the best combos, do you think, Claire?
Well, this is where you can also get creative. Sure, you could use nuts like lovely almonds that I've toasted here, or walnuts also toasted. But what about sunflower seeds or even hemp hearts? And you can actually even play with the combinations. I particularly like parsley with hemp, but another great one is arugula with almond, or cilantro with the like pumpkin seeds, little pepitas. Delicious. So you can really have fun mixing up those combinations. As long as you've got something kind of nice and rich and kind of creamy, like a nut or a seed with one of your herbs, you're good to go. So I'm going to take my parsley, put it in the blender. I've already got some canola oil in there. Oh, canola oil, you're saying? Yeah, I don't use extra virgin olive oil in the blender. It tends to turn a little bit bitter if you put extra virgin olive oil in the blender. So I'm going to add extra virgin once I actually use the pesto. So that's good old-fashioned canola oil in there. The herbs are going to go in, a bunch of hemp, and then I'm going to add just a bit of salt, 1 clove of garlic. You go crazy if you want all the garlic, but I find the taste of raw garlic pretty strong, so I just do 1 little one, and then a couple tablespoons full of fresh lemon juice. And that's really going to bring the brightness to the pesto, so it's not just herbs, it's also got a beautiful tanginess. And I am going to, you can see I'm making this in my blender. It takes 3 seconds.
Okay, I like that. Now, you've got options for folks that don't want to use the blender. I mean, you could actually get a good arm workout in there and just blend it by hand, couldn't you?
Yes, and certainly the Italian grannies who are watching are probably saying, oh, you never make pesto in a blender. You always do it by hand. Whatever you like, whether it's a blender, a food processor, or you can just do it by hand. But look at how quickly this is going to happen. Ta-da! Your pesto is ready, and now if you want to keep this in the fridge, you can use it in the next 5 days, or you can pop that stuff in the freezer and then you can have some in January when it's cold and dark. And I can't imagine actually feeling cold and dark right now, but you know what I mean. We'll get there. I am going to make one of my favorite dishes, and this is a pasta with pesto, but it's got an additional fun ingredient in it. It's got green beans in it. So this is like a great summer dish, and what I do is I boil a pot of water and I boil up some fresh green beans. Now these are in season right now, so this is a perfect time to use it. And since I'm boiling a pot of water for the pasta anyways, just take a couple of minutes beforehand and get these green beans all cooked up first. Then in that same pot of water, I am going to add my pasta and boil the pasta right here in the water. Same pot, no fancy dancy. Now, of course, we want to speed things up a little bit here, so I've got my cooked pasta, and here is the green beans. Now, remember our old friend Mr. Pesto goes right in, an absolutely magical combination with the green beans. And now is the time for that little bit of extra virgin olive oil. Because extra virgin olive oil has such a beautiful flavor, you really don't want to cook it too much. You want it to go on just as you're about to serve. So I'm going to add a few tablespoons of that as well. Now's the time for our old friend Parmesan. That goes into, and then I will add the pasta. And it's such a delicious summery dish.
It looks incredible and super easy and incredibly fresh. And I'm wondering, we like to use our pesto with pasta as well, but any other suggestions on where you might want to use some of your pesto?
Oh my goodness, pesto for me is like, it's like a meal starter. If I have pesto, then I know I have dinner. So obviously I love it with pasta. It's also fantastic smeared underneath the skin of a chicken before you roast it, like right in between the skin and the meat of a chicken. It's also fantastic as a pizza base, right? So you've got your pizza dough, you spread on your pesto, you top it however you want. It's great as a sandwich filling. And you know what's even really great at this time of year when you can't stand the thought of even cooking if it's too hot? You take a couple of big spoonfuls of that pesto and mix it in with your typical salad dressing. Then you get the flavor of pesto, but you haven't had to turn on the stove and get your kitchen all hot.
That is genius, and today's one of those days, hot. So if you don't want to cook in your house, you can be outside on the barbecue, make it completely al fresco. Claire always makes it so simple yet so delicious. Thank you so much for that.